The money for buildings comes from a variety of different places, and you can't necessarily interchange them. We talk about this as the color of money problem. All money is not green. And so for that reason, sometimes we appear to doing some things, and yet we're cutting our budget, and people wonder, well, why is that? And it's just because of the way in which money works within not just the University of North Carolina, but most public higher education institutions. Because it takes about 5 years from the time, for example, if the legislature appropriates money for a building like they did for Center City, like they did for the EPIC building, like they did for bioinformatics, it takes about 5 years to move to actually opening the doors. And so people will wonder, well, how can you be doing this? And it just takes a long time to do things. And during the same period, we could be suffering multiple millions of dollars of loss in our operating revenues, which is what, in fact, just happened. And then we have some things that aren't dependent really on the state, and that we have to do either way, and they don't come from state funds. And a good example is residence halls. We have a growing student body, but we also have an aging stock of some residence halls. And those are all paid from the rents that students pay, or the dining charges that students and others pay when they go into those dining facilities. So some things are going to go on no matter what's happening within the operating budget of the university that we get from the state. All throughout the history of UNC Charlotte, there have been master plans for construction and land use. The most recent one was under my administration, but it built upon one from, actually two, from Chancellor Woodward's 16-year tenure as chancellor here, and we followed the master plan. Now the sequence of how we followed it may vary. For example, in recent years, planning and construction money for things like our new science building that we would like haven't been easy to come by, and we're still living off some monies from years ago that built Center City and EPIC and the like. So those kinds of things just take time. But the parking decks, residence halls, the new student union, the new student health center, those are all according to plan. And they just come along as they come along, and it depends upon the availability of funding at that moment about whether you'll be able to move forward. Well, I think when we look at the demand at this university and the growth of our programs, we need additional space. A lot of times people say, well, if you'll just put things online, you'll solve the whole problem. Well, the reality is that, for example, laboratory science pretty much needs to be produced in a laboratory, and research is done in research laboratories and those kinds of things. So we make very good and efficient use of our classrooms, and we're doing so all the time as we add more students, but we haven't added more classroom space. Our applications for next year, for the fall of 2012, are up 16% at the freshman level, and they're especially up from out-of-state students. So we continue to see escalating numbers of students who want to come to UNC Charlotte and who are more qualified than the class before them.